Good morning, everyone. Welcome to an all-new edition of On the Mark TV and Radio. I'm your host, Mark Auerbach. You're listening or watching us on Westfield Community Programming, 89.5 FM WSKB, Agawam Media, and Southwick Community Television. My first guest today is Kimberly Lee, who is very well known in the greater Springfield community. She has worked in nonprofit organizations and with healthcare and other issues in her entire career. She has just been honored by Business West with an award for her work in the community, and she's with Mira Vista, which is a name you may not be familiar with, which provides mental health care. Kim, it is so good to see you.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you as well. Thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah, we've been trying to schedule this for months, and I'm so glad that we're getting a chance to chat, particularly before the holidays, when many people, their mental health issues are exacerbated by the holiday season. And Mira Vista offers a variety of mental health care services. So since it's sort of a new organization to a lot of us, tell us what you do.
Sure. So Mira Vista Behavioral Health Center is what was at one time Providence Behavioral Health. So just about, actually a little bit more than 3 years ago now, Trinity Healthcare, the Mercy Healthcare System, made the decision that they were going to be closing Providence. And once that news reached the Commonwealth, reached the state of Massachusetts, the state immediately reached out to our ownership group. We have a sister hospital called Terra Vista, which is located in Devens, Massachusetts. And the state asked that group of individuals if they would at all consider purchasing Providence in order to retain all of the inpatient mental health and outpatient substance use programming that takes place. And quite literally, without hesitation, our ownership group said absolutely. And we reopened and have rebranded as Mira Vista. And that was in April of 2021.
Were you with the organization when this happened, or did you join subsequent?
I joined subsequently. So I've been with Mira Vista since July of 2022. So I've been here for just about 2.5 years now. But Mira Vista is a standalone hospital, if you will, here in Holyoke, Massachusetts, for individuals who may not have been familiar with where or what Providence was. But we are providing inpatient psychiatric mental health treatment for adolescents who are between the ages of 13 to 17, 18 if they're still attending high school, and adults as well. So we have a total of 88 beds here for inpatient mental health treatment. And then we also, Mark, have a whole host of outpatient substance use programming and treatment that happens here as well. So we have an intensive outpatient program. Why they call it an intensive outpatient program, I don't know. It's not really intense at all. It's a wonderful opportunity for individuals who need more support in terms of maintaining their sobriety. It's an interactive community of people who meet Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1 for 6 weeks. And there is a certificate of completion that occurs at the end of the program, but they can choose to come 3 days a week, whatever days are most convenient for them. And we're providing transportation at no cost back and forth as well. And so the IOP is in addition to our opioid treatment program. So we have a very active clinic here for those who are dosing methadone. We also provide medicated assisted treatment for alcohol and other substance use abuse. So Sublocade, Vivitrol, Suboxone as well. And then one-on-one outpatient outpatient substance use counseling. And that can happen either in person here at Mira Vista or via telehealth.
What made you decide to go to Mira Vista? You have your career's always been in the nonprofit world and in organizations that are helping other people. Why did you choose to go to Mira Vista?
Well, it's really interesting, Mark. The chief operating officer who was here at the time, Mark Paglia, and I were on a call when I was with the Mental Health Association. And I was actually reaching out to him and soliciting Mira Vista for patients or clients for the Mental Health Association's outpatient mental health clinical work. And halfway through the conversation, Mark said, you should just come here. You should just join the team here at Mira Vista. And so, after a couple of cups of coffee and a couple of lunches and meetings, I got to know Mira Vista and really fell in love with it, Mark. I fell in love with the work that was happening here. I have a great degree of respect personally and professionally for the staff who are here and for the hospital's leadership. Attention.
I think we lost your volume.
I did that purposely, Mark. I apologize. We were just announcing that the flu clinic is starting in our auditorium. And so I didn't want listeners of this program to want to have to hear about the Mira Vista flu clinic.
They'd all be driving down for their flu clinic right now.
That's right.
Another question, Kim. What made you go into this nonprofit thing? I mean, people that know you and know your work say that you are one of the best marketing development people in the area. What made you choose to go into nonprofits as opposed to going out in the corporate sector or having your own agency or something like that?
Mark, that's a great question. And I actually am going to include a reference to this in my little 2-minute acceptance speech, if you will, at the Women of Impact dinner in a couple of weeks. But when I was young, I, like so many of us, we would watch the Jerry Lewis telethon, right, every Labor Day weekend. And of course, it was interesting to watch, but then it was sad to watch because it meant, school was going to start within a couple of days. But I remember during that telethon that they used to have, when it was Channel 40, way back when, they would have a little drive on Liberty Street where people could go into the TV station and make a donation for the Jerry Lewis telethon and for MDA. And I remember telling my siblings, I want to do something like that. I want to be able to make a difference in that way. I would like to organize a carnival. And so I did. So I organized a little neighborhood carnival and back in the very early, mid 70s, and actually raised $500. And we gave that to the Muscular Dystrophy Association. And I never forgot that feeling. I never forgot the feeling of how exciting it was to be able to gather individuals for a cause and to really talk about the challenges that individuals with muscular dystrophy were experiencing, and to have those conversations actually equate to dollars and to awareness. And so that really was the driving force behind me wanting as an adult to work in the nonprofit sector. But it was a little bit of naivete because here I am in a for-profit, and I'm able to make, just as much of a difference as I did in the nonprofit sector. So all those young career people out there who are graduating, who are thinking, well, I don't want to go to for-profit because I won't be able to make just as much of a difference. Oh, yes, you can.
Yeah. Switching back to mental health, which Mira Vista provides, is Mira Vista the only opportunity for people in the community? I know that mental health resources are very limited in the Pioneer Valley, but and should not be. It should be available everywhere. But you hear about units closing down in other facilities. Is Mira Vista the biggest and the most expansive right now in the area?
Right now, we are not the sole provider of inpatient psychiatric treatment. We have a neighbor right here in Holyoke, Valley Springs, which was a collaborative effort that opened between Bay State Health and LifePoint. So Valley Springs and Mira Vista in this particular area are the two largest providers of inpatient. We are actually larger than Valley Springs. Right now, we have 88 beds, and we will soon be bringing on an additional 40, which will make us the largest provider in Western Massachusetts. But the majority of the individuals we're serving, Mark, are actually not just from Western Massachusetts. We're serving people from throughout the Commonwealth. So we see people from the Cape, we see people from Boston, we see people from Fall River, North Adams. So our catchment area, if you will, is really the entire state.
We're going to take a quick break, Kim, to acknowledge our underwriters. If you're listening or watching this today and you want to watch it again or share it with friends, today's program will be archived on YouTube under WSKB Community Radio. Peter Coles is our chief engineer. I'm Mark Auerbach, and we'll return to chat more with Kimberly Lee after these messages.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donuts Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Hi, this is Harry Rock, host of Rock on Westfield every fourth Wednesday at 8 a.m. Tune in for my view of this place I call home.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Welcome back to On the Mark, everyone. I'm Mark Auerbach. Peter Coles is our chief engineer. We're chatting with Kimberly Lee from Mira Vista, which is a mental health services organization located at the former Providence Hospital on Route 5 in Holyoke. Kim, I have another series running concurrently with On the Mark called Survivor Stories. And one of my guests who was talking about recovering and getting back on her feet after her husband had committed suicide said she felt that we all have doctors and primary care physicians to take care of our physical needs, but that we all should have a mental health counselor or advisor that we see on a regular basis just to make sure we're doing okay, and that mental health needs in the area are not the current status. There are not enough facilities, physicians, and practitioners to help people who need it. How do you feel about people finding a therapist or seeking help just to make sure they're in touch and things are okay?
Oh, absolutely, Mark. And in fact, my husband and I, when our daughters, we have two girls, 22 and 24, and when they were young, although we still do it now, but when they were young, we would gather together as a family, phones turned off, TV was off, and we just sat together and we asked them 3 very simple words. We asked them a very simple question, which was, how are you? And we didn't mean physically, we meant emotionally. How was their mental health? What was happening in their life? What stress or sadness or, what were all those possible potential emotions that they were feeling at that particular day on that particular day in time. And the things that we learned, Mark, from a parent's perspective were huge, and it opened up so many conversations for us to have with them about their mental health. And your friend is exactly right. our health doesn't stop at our shoulders, right? How we're feeling emotionally very much affects and influences how we feel physically. Those upset stomachs we have, or those sleepless nights we might be having, or those feelings of fatigue, or that the back spasm that doesn't seem to want to go away. To just look at those ailments as purely physical is really a shortcoming for us. We as individuals, as humans, really need to more openly recognize and disclose when we're not feeling well emotionally, because our mental health really does dictate so much of our overall physical health. And so, absolutely, once a month, once every 3 months, a check-in with a mental health counselor or a therapist, just to see how you're doing, and to take time in your own life to ask those questions of the people who are in your life, and mean it when you ask. Not, oh, hey, how are you, but how are you? And be ready to engage in terms of their response.
That's a big difference between how you doing and how are you. How does somebody find a mental health counselor if they feel that they just want to validate where they are and to make sure everything's okay? Where do they start?
Absolutely. So, probably now all of our best friends is Google. So one of the easiest things to do is just to Google mental health counselor near me, and the population, or the screen will populate with a myriad of counselors. You'll have individuals who do one-on-one counseling and who have a private practice. You'll find counselors who are part of a larger organization, such as the Center for Human Development or Behavioral Health Network, clinical and support options. Actually, even Springfield Pharmacy has opened up a brand new outpatient clinic, which makes perfect sense, because for individuals who are engaged in therapy and who may need a little medication to support how they're feeling emotionally, you can see your clinician, and when it's appropriate, you can get your prescription filled, and it's all under one roof. But those organizations also are offering what's termed, Mark, the CBHCs, or the Community Behavioral Health Centers. So just about 4 years ago, the Executive Office of Health and Human Services here in Massachusetts launched its new behavioral health roadmap, and part of that included funding for these 24-hour, 7-day-a-week mental health clinics to open in the community. And it was meant to avoid emergency department engagement when it really wasn't necessary. So we work here at Mira Vista very, very closely with those CBHCs, because when people walk in and they are experiencing a mental health crisis, and it is deemed appropriate for them to come inpatient, we're able to do what's called a direct admission. So individuals are no longer needing to go to the emergency department in order to get the mental health treatment that they need.
Do you have any opinion one way or the other about inpatient one-on-one therapy versus telehealth? Do you think telehealth is effective? And it's around everywhere now.
It is, and I think it really is. It comes down to personal preference. For some people, being able to see a therapist virtually offers a ton of convenience. They can do it from the comfort of their home. They can do it on their lunch break at work. They can do it on their phone in their car, after they've done grocery shopping. But there's others who find that one-on-one in-person connection to be important to their mental health. So I do believe that it depends on the individual themselves, but it has been a tremendous asset in terms of bringing mental health support to individuals who need it, who for a variety of reasons may prefer the comfort of their own home. Maybe there's transportation issues, maybe there's mobility issues, but being able to have the opportunity to talk with a clinician virtually, I think, has been an absolute game changer in the industry.
While we're chatting, people that want to learn more about Mira Vista, how can they find out about your programs and services, either at a website or on an online presence?
Sure. So our website is www.miravista.bhc.care. And if there are people who are listening who would like to know more about Mira Vista, or who perhaps have a question for themselves or a loved one about accessing services here, I'm happy to share my number, and that's 413-264-3042.
How many people does Mira Vista treat during the course of a year?
Oh, thousands.
And how many people are on staff?
We have about 300 between full-time, part-time, and per diem workers. We're in the vicinity of 300 plus.
And Mira
So
Vista,
we are,
yeah, and Mira Vista is a not-for-profit, correct?
no, we are a for-profit.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure, but you have 300 plus employees, so you're one of the larger employees in the area.
We are, and our workforce is really quite diverse, Mark. We have individuals who live right here in Holyoke. We have individuals who live as far away as Leominster, and up north as far as New Hampshire. So we really do. Our workforce is regional rather than just local.
You're receiving an award from Business West in a couple of weeks, or by the time this airs, you will have won that award. Tell me what that means to you.
Oh, geez, Mark. It's funny because I have spent and happily, I have spent my career putting other people forward, right? Like making sure that the CEOs of the organizations I've worked with, or my colleagues and peers who might be subject matter experts on a variety of topics, have the opportunity to, present in the media, on TV and print, whatever it might be. So for me to have the spotlight, it's a little uncomfortable for me. But it is such a great honor, and very, very humbling, but also reassuring to know that, how I have spent my adult life has been positive and has made an impact, and very, very honored to have had that recognized in this way. Very much so.
And your entire career has been spent in social service agencies and mental health agencies, and really working on behalf of other people. And people know you for your work, and your work has been great. I mean, we've known each other for decades for our work, and people always tell me that you're doing great things. So I'm glad that the community is honoring you for those efforts.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you. Thank you. And we have known each other for a very long time, but geez, don't we both look fabulous still?
Yeah. Any final words, Kim, about Mira Vista that you want to share before we go?
I would just want to add, Mark, that Mira Vista is a very willing partner, and individuals do not have to go through their recovery from substance use alone. People do not have to recover from a mental health challenge alone. We have experts here. We have compassionate staff members who are very, very willing and looking forward to walking those pathways together with individuals who come through our doors. So seeking help, just remember, is a sign of strength. It is not a sign of weakness.
Kimberly Lee from Mira Vista, thank you so much for being here.
And thank you for the invitation, Mark. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Have a happy holiday season, and congratulations again on the Business West Award.
Thank you, my friend.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Take good care. We're going to take a break to acknowledge our underwriters, and we'll be back with more On the Mark. Peter Coles is our chief engineer. I'm Mark Auerbach. Don't go away.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday, every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Welcome back to On the Mark, everyone. I'm Mark Auerbach. Pete Coles is our chief engineer. This half hour, we're chatting with Clifton J Noble Jr., affectionately known to all as Jerry Noble. You may recognize Jerry if you're watching us on television today on one of our networks. He is a Westfield native. He's also a composer, a music director, and works throughout Western Massachusetts. He's part of the Tuesday Morning Music Club. He is the music director of a congregation in Westfield. He performs on the Seven Hours concert series every year and on another series in Montgomery during the summers. And he is the composer of a folk cantata for kids called Johnny Appleseed, which the Springfield Chamber Players will be presenting at 52 Sumner in Springfield on Sunday afternoon, December 8th at 3 o'clock. Jerry and I have known each other for a long time, and Johnny Appleseed is one of 4 pieces of family-friendly music on this particular program. One of the pieces is called The Boston Wonder, and it's by Peter Shickley, who created the group PDQ Bach, which was a classical music satire group. And The Boston Wonder is performed by Ellen Redman, who is the principal flutist with the Springfield Symphony Orchestra. And I get to narrate it, and Jerry plays the piano. So, Jerry, first of all, I'm so excited that Johnny Appleseed is coming back to town. And I know you've made a couple of changes to it since it was performed last year in Long Meadow.
That's right. I'm delighted, as you are, that Johnny is still metaphorically walking around planting apples, because his story is a quintessentially American one, and it's just great to be able to set it to music and to draw from all that rich tradition of folk music and kind of tap into that. The changes that I've made, it's not a very portable piece, in the sense that, unlike the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, I can't count on a children's choir being available at every moment in every town where we perform. And so I've asked, Kara and I have an old friend from college, Justina Golden, who is a woman of wears many different hats. She is a teacher and a singer and a folk singer and a songwriter and a coach and all kinds of different things. And instead of having the children's choir sing the little poetic couplets that Jane Yolen has written about Johnny, I've asked Justina to come in. And while it won't have the cute factor, you might say, of a children's choir, it will have the factor of a professional vocalist who brings all kinds of character and drama to every word that she sings.
Well, there's still a cute factor, Jerry. You're cute, I'm cute. And so's the rest of the cast. Marsha Harbison plays the violin. Boris Kogan plays the cello. Ellen Redman
Michael
plays...
Nix on the banjo.
Yeah, Ellen Redman, flute. Karen Noble narrating. Marty Kluger narrating. So it's quite a troupe of cute people. What made you interested in Johnny Appleseed in the first place? And for people that don't know, he grew up in Long Meadow.
That's right. He was born in Leominster, but moved very soon with his whole family to Long Meadow, and the family grew and blossomed just like an orchard when they got there. I mean, I can't remember exactly how many kids there ended up being, but Johnny was the oldest, I think, of the lot. And it was during an anniversary of the town of Long Meadow that Marcia, who then, along with her husband Bill, ran the Long Meadow Chamber Music Society, commissioned me to write a piece because Johnny had a long time association with Long Meadow, and it was a good way to celebrate the town's anniversary with families. In fact, I think, Mark, you found out the last time that we performed this piece that this house where he lived in Long Meadow is still standing. And
It's still standing. It's funny because I grew up about 3 blocks away from it. And people had pointed it out, when we were kids, that's the Appleseed house. And I thought it was, like that's the Smith house and the Jones house. I thought there was a family called the Appleseeds that had lived there. And when I was older and heard the story of Johnny Appleseed, I realized the house is one of the oldest houses in Long Meadow. It should be made a historical landmark of some sort, but it's in an area that's now built up, but back in the day was fields and orchards.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's it's neat. I kind of hope that people will loop around in their cars and maybe make a pilgrimage to to see the house after they hear the piece.
Well, I would hope so. Of course, if people are going to the concert on the 8th of December, the show is a little over 70 minutes long, so it gets out just after 4 o'clock, and Bright Nights is running then, so you could combine the two and really have a great late afternoon with your kids in Greater Springfield.
True.
And one thing to mention is that we're performing in a new venue, 52 Sumner, on the corner of Sumner Avenue and Fort Pleasant Avenue in the Forest Park section of Springfield. It's an old church. It was once the Faith United Church. It was purchased and turned into a nonprofit organization and hosts a variety of performances. All of the Springfield Chamber Players concerts this season in Springfield, plus a variety of other things. Absolutely gorgeous facility.
I'm certainly looking forward to my first experience in there, and I think it's going to be an ideal place to present Johnny because all of the facilities are state of the art, as I understand it, lighting and sound and all kinds of things.
And video. When we did Johnny Appleseed the first time, we showed slides of Jane Yolen's illustrations and the book that inspired you to compose this. Now we'll be able to do it on video.
That'll be fantastic. And Jim Burke, the illustrator, was so willing to share all of that with us, as was Jane. And she's been to every performance that we've done of the piece thus far. And I of course, have communicated with her and telling her that Johnny is I think I titled the email "Johnny Rocks On," and as she said, if she's in the area, she will as well. So
that's great. And while we're chatting about this, if you want tickets for it, you can get them at SpringfieldSymphonyMusicians.com. And if you use the code on Eventbrite when you buy the tickets, SCP, as in Springfield Chamber Players 1, that's SCP1, you can get a discount on your tickets, courtesy of Westfield Community Programming and WSKB.
Fantastic.
Jerry, you're performing all over town. What's going on your calendar these days?
Well, you mentioned the Tuesday Morning Music Club. On December 3rd, the club is having its holiday concert. We meet at Trinity Methodist Church just down the street on Sumner Avenue. And this year, a quartet made up of Justina Golden, Shelley Roberts, John Thomas, and Mark Weiner are going to present, among other things, a kind of mini Messiah, the greatest hits of part one, if you will. Rejoice greatly, O thou that tellest good tidings to Zion, comfort ye in every valley, etc. I don't want to let all of the cats out of the bag, but there will be some lighter fare as well. And my dear friend David Kidwell will present the other half of the program. We usually do it in two 30-minute sections. And David has a series of pairs. He's calling it a partridge in a pear, P-A-I-R, tree, pairs of treatments of various Christmas melodies. And he has a piece also called Christmas in 3 Minutes for organ solo, which crams as many Christmas carols as you can imagine into one 3-minute piece.
And how can people go see that?
That will be at Trinity Church at 10:30 on December 3rd. It's a Tuesday morning, as the name of the club implies. And members are $10. Non-members, I'm sorry, are $10. Members of the club are free, and we welcome new members at every performance. I should know this, but it may be that the Christmas holiday concert is a free and open concert as well. So check on the Tuesday morning music club website, which I believe is tuesdaymmc.org or something like that. You can search for it in any case.
So I know that the 7R series is shut down for the winter because the building isn't heated, but you appear there every year. And the Little Montgomery Music Festival is probably gone for the winter. So what?
No, she continues on.
They do? Oh,
Actually.
great.
Yeah, we have dates in December and January, and those are on Thursday afternoons, and the concerts are free, but there's a tip jar that benefits the fire station and the library and the musicians, and it's always full. The people there are so generous, and we play all kinds of music. Dale has programmed everything from, you mentioned Ellen Redmond. She has an Irish group that is part of this Springfield Chamber Players now called Last Night's Fun.
Right, they're coming in March to 52 Sumner.
I was so glad to see that because they are fantastic. And they play up at this place. We play folk music, we play classic rock, we play hymns, we play all kinds of things from Hank Williams and Johnny Cash to Elton John and Billy Joel. So come one, come all. There'll be something for everyone on the program.
Yeah, I've seen her group perform before, and they're just fantastic.
Yeah. There's one other thing that I'm doing this season on December 1st, a Sunday afternoon, at the North Hadley Congregational Church out on Route 47 in North Hadley. The group Bella Voce, which consists of Lisa Woods and Terry LaFleur, and myself playing piano and my wife Kara playing bass. And they will have one extra guest artist this year, but they present an annual holiday concert, music of the season, both sacred and secular. And that is at 2 p.m. on December 1st at the North Hadley Congregational Church. Good way to kick off the holiday season.
Yeah, and tell us about your church in Westfield. I can't remember the name of it, but I can tell you where it is. But you have a robust music program there.
We do. I've been there for a little over 2 years now. I came in at Christmas time 2 years ago, and we have a choir that's grown to 14 voices and a bell choir that on a good night, and by that every night is a good night, we have at least 8 ringers in the bell choir, so we're capable of quite a lush texture in there. And we have 2 services every Sunday morning. It's the Church of the Atonement on Court Street in Westfield, Episcopal Church of the Atonement.
If I were to look in your calendar, how many days a week do you work? How many hours a day do you work? And how many shows do you do in a week?
Well, let's count this up because it's very interesting. If it's a Tuesday morning music club, that would be the first day that I'd be performing or hosting at least. Then on Wednesday, I teach a couple of piano lessons generally. Tuesday evenings, I've been accompanying the Hampshire Choral Society, so that adds another 2 hours plus the drive. Thursdays, I have choir rehearsal at my church, and we generally have some kind of rehearsal in the morning or a coaching. I coach singers and things like that. Then Saturdays, generally, we have something. Thursday afternoons are when that Montgomery, I'm very scattered, as you can tell. I'm surprised that I can be at the right place at the right time. So thank you for asking, because it sounds almost as bad as it is.
Yeah, so you're in the car a lot, driving from place to place.
Yeah.
What kind of music do you listen to in the car?
Oh my goodness, it runs the gamut of everything. I listen to classical music now and then, but mostly it's a mixture of kind of country music, classic rock, heavy metal, folk music. The music, the soundtrack of my life. I was born in 1961, and I encountered Elton John and Deep Purple at about age 10. And according to my father, my musical taste was on the way downhill ever since then, probably.
So when did
But
they
it's eclectic.
when did they force classical music onto your agenda?
Well, it was never forced. He taught me to play the piano, my dad did, at age 4. And I played, like a lot of other people, that little Anna Magdalena Bach minuet in G major. Dee ba ba da ba dee bum bum, blee ba ba da ba da dum bum. And it went from there. My father, he opened up his music collection to me, which ranged from Chopin and Beethoven to Gene Autry and Smiley Burnett and Hank Williams and all kinds of things like that. So he never, despite the fact that his musical taste didn't always match mine, he never told me that I couldn't play anything, and I'm eternally grateful for that attitude, because it's allowed me to pursue a musical life that never gets old, never gets boring.
What musical influences came to you while you were composing Johnny Appleseed?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, the one instrument that I definitely wanted to have was banjo, and I have no idea why, but banjo says to me American roots music somehow. And obviously fiddle, Marcia is going to be playing that. Cello creates the bass. There's piano, but it's minimal because Johnny, I actually bring the piano in when he moves to Long Meadow in the story, because I figure he probably didn't have a piano in the house in Leominster, but the house in Long Meadow was a little bigger. They probably had one of those big old uprights that everybody could stand around and sing at night. It's those kind of influences, parlor music from the 19th century, and definitely folk music and roots music from the Civil War era and a little bit later.
And although it's a classical piece, it really isn't. I hear bits and pieces of Johnny Appleseed in folk music and in Southern rock, and
Absolutely.
it's definitely a family type of piece. Children will like it as well as adults. And the other things on that program include Ferdinand the Bull, which is a well-known children's book about a pacifist bull who refuses to go to a bullfight, and The Swan from Saint-Saëns' Carnival of the Animals, and then
Right.
The Boston Wonder, which is written by PDQ Bach's Peter Schickele, and it's a 3-minute piece, if that, but boy, is that fun to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's classic PDQ Bach in that the music is quirky and unexpected. It has sort of mocking dissonances, and it has joking rhythms in it, and it's a brilliant narration that he's written for you, Mark. A very funny story about a flute that kind of goes rogue and takes on a life of its own.
Yeah, when you first showed me the script last year, this was the first time that I had gone on the stage in decades to narrate anything. And it was a lot of fun. It was easy to learn and a lot of fun, but I didn't hear the music to it until our first rehearsal, which was the day before our performance. And it took me by surprise because the flute part for Ellen Redmond is just fascinating.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to do it again with you and Ellen.
Yeah, it's looking like great fun. Yeah.
So we're going to take a break to acknowledge our underwriters, and we'll be back to chat more with Jerry Noble. Peter Coles is our chief engineer. I'm Mark Auerbach. Don't go away.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue, in Westfield.
Underwriting is brought to you by Boise Cascade Distribution, providing products and services needed for building material dealers, home improvement centers, and industrial customers. They offer everything from engineered wood and plywood to Drex decking and railing, James Hardie siding, and Advantech subfloor. Located at 33 Fowler Street Extension in Westfield and on the web at bc.com, they are committed to providing quality products, great service, convenience, and value.
Join us every Thursday morning
from 6 until at least 7:30.
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show
right here on WSKB 89.5
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Welcome back to On the Mark, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Auerbach. Peter Coles is our chief engineer. If you've missed a part of today's program, or you want to watch it again or share it with friends, it's archived on YouTube on WSKB Community Radio. Jerry has been a guest on the program many times before, so you can go back and watch a full afternoon of Jerry Noble if you want on our YouTube channel. And one of the things we're chatting about today is the Springfield Chamber Players' upcoming production of Johnny Appleseed, composed by Jerry Noble, who is directing the production and playing keyboards for it. And that takes place Sunday afternoon, December 8th at 3 o'clock at 52 Sumner, the new event venue in the Forest Park section of Springfield at the intersection of Sumner Avenue and Fort Pleasant. It's a former church, a great venue for music. They do music of all kinds there. There's plenty of parking, and the Johnny Appleseed program is kind of a little bit different holiday fare than your usual Messiahs or A Christmas Carol or Nutcrackers. So it's great for kids, great for families, and tickets are available at SpringfieldSymphonyMusicians.com. And if you use the discount code SCP1, when you go to Eventbrite to buy the tickets, you'll get a discount. Jerry, what are you composing these days?
Well, I just got it's funny you should say that, because I hadn't had a call in a while, and I had a call from a dear friend, Lynn Klock, retired from UMass as a saxophone professor for many, many years, and he has been a great supporter of my composing for a long time. There's a piece that I wrote for him on commission for baritone saxophone called De Profundis, from the depths. Baritone saxophone, appropriate music, it seems to me, has been played all over the world. It's been bought by saxophonists from England and Poland and Japan, and that gives you a sense of how popular Mr. Klock's CDs are, and it's nice to ride on his coattails as a composer. So he called me the other day, and he said that he would like a folk song from the British Isles arranged for saxophone octet, because he's still active as a clinician, and he's doing all-state wind bands and all kinds of things like that. He's playing concertos with young people, and he's coaching young players still, even in his retirement from UMass.
And he,
so I'm at work.
Yeah, I was going to say, he and his wife is Laura Klock, who's a retired horn player. And
That's
Laura
right.
and I, when we were in high school, got our start at Wolf Trap in Washington, D.C. And when I came to Springfield to the symphony, Laura was the first person in the orchestra I recognized, and she and Lynn are both so talented.
Absolutely. Yeah, she was the principal horn in Springfield for more years than I can remember. And she's one of the finest principal horn players I've ever heard. As you know, I was reviewing concerts for the Springfield newspapers for many years. And during the course of that, I've heard a good many horn sections, including the Boston Symphony, the Minnesota Orchestra, and all of the others. And Laura is right up there at the very top. If you hear her playing the solo from that Tchaikovsky symphony, that you'll never hear a better performance. She's a fabulous musician, as is her husband, Lynn.
You're working all year round. Do you and Kara ever get a vacation?
We always say that the chance to stay home and not do anything we don't want to do is a vacation enough for us. And it's interesting because my wife also loves horses, and she has a horse and a pony and two donkeys who live on our ranch as well. And so that ties us pretty well to our land, I must say.
So, do you ever play music for the horses and the donkeys?
I do. I brought it's funny that a lot of people that we know, including our dear friend Don Boothman, a singer, used to leave the radio on for his llamas in the barn, and it was always on NPR. Well, we tried leaving the radio on for our donkeys, but we put it on the country music station. And they brayed and brayed and brayed. I don't know if they liked it or they didn't, but they certainly responded. So I used to bring my guitar out and play for the donkeys and the horses. And, they would listen and then they'd walk away. So I don't know what to say.
Well, I used to leave the radio on for a cat that I had when I was working for what is now New England Public Media. It was WFCR in those days. And people said if you left talk radio or news radio on, people would think somebody was at home and they wouldn't break into your house. But I would come home on nights when I anchored the All Things Considered fund drives, and the kitchen would be torn apart because the cat was jumping the counter to go to the radio to slap it around because it heard my voice. So my cat only could listen to show tunes.
That's probably a good choice.
Yeah. When you look at the music activity in the Valley, it's pretty extensive in all kinds of music, much more than one would expect. Do you see the musical activity growing or diminishing in this economy?
I've never noticed. I mean, and it may be ingenuous of me to say so, but I've never noticed a downturn in the music making in this valley because those of us who do it are all, with very few exceptions, doing it for the right reasons. We are having to make a living, of course, but we are the type of people who can't not do what we love. And I think that will always be, I always remember my father saying when I was a kid, people will always pay to be entertained, whatever they can pay. And more organizations now, including the Mohawk Trail Concerts, on which I am a board member, are using the pay what you can model. Kalen Marcel Manson and his Nero Orchestra, another new ensemble in this area. And that's a great sign, too, that a brand new chamber orchestra can take flight in just a couple of seasons and present everything from Turandot to arias from Tosca, all kinds of things. And my composition teacher at college, Lou Spratland, said, in order to make a living in this business, you've got to move to New York or LA. And I said, at the time I grew up in Montgomery and Westfield area, I was never going to leave this area, and I never will. I've established what I think is a very comfortable and generous career making music and writing about it.
And you're not alone in that regard. Throughout Western Massachusetts, there are a lot of musicians as well as theater people, dancers, and filmmakers that can live and work here full time. And that's why economics, people talk about the creative economy in Western Massachusetts and how it can change communities because you have the creative types living in them. For example, in Westfield and in Holyoke, there have just been cultural districts established by the Mass Cultural Council. And those will draw people to downtown for performances and for art exhibitions and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, just the fact that a place like 52 Sumner has come into being, repurposing a church as a wonderful performance venue, that there's a sign of exactly that richness that you point to.
Yeah, because Springfield, a big city, only has one performance space, so to speak, and that's Symphony Hall, which is much too big for chamber.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can see Jerry and me and a whole group of other people Sunday, December 8th at 3 o'clock doing Johnny Appleseed at 52 Sumner with the Springfield Chamber Players. Again, tickets are available at SpringfieldSymphonyMusicians.com, and you can use the discount code SCP1 for a discount on your tickets. Jerry Noble, always good to see you. See you on the 8th.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
Take care. And this wraps up this edition of On the Mark. Peter Coles is our chief engineer. I'm Mark Auerbach. We'll see you next week with a new edition.
Pine cones and holly berries, popcorn for you, apples for me, red striped candy, nutcracker handy, kettle a-bubbling, holiday tea. Snow clouds hang low and threatening, maybe it won't, praying it may. The brightest fireplace glows in every face, waiting for Christmas Day. There'll be walk-around songs and talk-around songs, songs of the inn and stable. There'll be morning time songs and evening time songs and grace at every table. Jingle bells will jingle all the way, all day.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Popcorn for you, apples for me,
There's a tree
red
in the
striped candy, nutcracker handy, kettle a-bubbling, holiday tea. Snow clouds and roses threatening, maybe it won't, praying it may. The brightest fireplace glows in every face, waiting for Christmas Day.